Hey folks, how's it going? So this week we got a new chapter. I want to give you some notes and some talking a little bit about how to kind of approach this chapter. You see here, I'm not in my studio. I'm in my office here on campus today. So I just want to talk to you a little bit about this chapter though. So this chapter really deals with how to find meaning in art, right? How do we get the information we've been talking about and use that as a way to help us find what an artwork means. So there are three main things that we want to do when we're doing this, okay? So three things here. One, you want to look at the work of art. Two, you want to list what you see. And three, here's a hard one, the big one, you want to think about the work of art, okay? So look, what do you do when you look? Look at the work of art. Take a few minutes to look at the work of art and see what you see there. Just take it all in, keep it in your head. What does it make you feel? What does it make you think about? All these things. List out, number two here is list. List out information that you see. Do you see a person in the middle? Do you see a person in the back? Do you see a certain color that you see throughout the piece? Do you see, certain kinds of information about a scene, what's happening in that scene, etc. Make a list of all this stuff. The third thing is, of course, to think about these things. So we see something. What do those things make you think of? What do those things remind you of? What do those things bring to the meaning of the work of art? Okay, so that's the kind of the hardest part at that point. Now, the book gives you some starters in terms of how to start to find meaning, right? The kind of different analyses that you can do, formal analyses, content analyses, ideological analyses, political analyses, feminist analyses, all these different kinds of ways that we can start to think about a work of art. We can start to think about what these things mean. But it all comes down to being able to identify what those things are, right? You have to look at the thing properly and know what's in it to know that these works of art have a certain kind of political bent to them, okay? So one great example that we find in the book here, we show us the Capitol building, the United States Capitol, where Congress meets, right? If we look at that piece, what do we see? We see a large building that's meant to house the government, right? What do we list the things? We see columns, we see domes, we see white marble. When we start thinking about these things, we can find out what do those things help us to know about the meaning of that building. Believe it or not, that building has an important meaning. The columns, the domes, the marble, all reference Greek architecture. What is Greece? Greece is one of the first democracies in the Western world, right? From several thousand years ago, they had democracy the first time. What is the Capitol building? The seat of government of the first democracy in the modern world. Up until 1776, there were no other democracies in the world. What is the meaning of that building? The meaning of that building says we are hearkening back to ancient Greece. We are the continuation of democracy in the world. Do you see how the choices being made by the architect, the choices being made by the artist, start to give us a sense of the meaning of a work of art? Even something as seemingly anodyne as the Capitol building of the United States, the government building of the United States, that still has meaning to it. People thought about these, and I always tell people think about these things. That is not a coincidence that happened that way. That was planned ahead of time by the architect. So remember, look at what you're seeing at, list what you see, and think about how it fits into some sort of meaning. And then that way you can start to really develop an idea of what an artwork is, really develop an idea of what an artwork means. And that is when you're going to get to the crux of what this class is about. How to appreciate an artwork for what it means, and how to appreciate an artwork for what you see in it, and how that helps you interpret meaning. Interpreting meaning is more than just, I like it, I think it's cool. Interpreting meaning is, what does it say, and how does it say it?